Welcome to Create Personal Equity in our weekly training. My name is Jonathan Geyer and my business partner, Randall Wimmer. Today, we are going to talk about what is personal branding. Randall, would you like to jump in?
Yeah, that's just like that's a broad question. I think there's about
Push
1,000
off the
answers
dock.
to that, but I like your answer. It's that you provided before we went live, and that is it's what people think about you. And I just I'm trying to think of a better I'm trying to think of a better answer, but I think that's it. I would go one step further than that. I would say it's what people who can really influence your progression towards your personal and professional goals think about
Ooh,
you. Yeah, because I think it's just targeted because you can put yourself out there and you could be putting yourself out there to the wrong network of people because it's all about your network. It's your network of those people that you've previously identified that can be force multipliers in your journey to be successful. And it's those people's opinion of you that matter. It doesn't matter if some crazy cat lady in Idaho has a good or bad opinion about you because she can't help you. She can't enable your success. And I ultimately think that that's what it has to be what your network thinks about you, and your network has got to be purposefully designed. It's got to be purposefully curated because you know all clicks aren't created the same. They really aren't. And I love this one analogy. I remember watching this special. It's about this super yacht um, promoter, and this guy he has a blog, and he blogs about super yachts and like people who are like interested in the super rich, all that. He's got like over a million followers, and so, but do you know what percentage of those million are actually potential super yacht buyers? It's like less than 40. Now I want you to think about that. He's he's created content that attracts a million only to target 40 or fewer potential super yacht buyers in that market space. So it's those 40 that are the most important. And how about this? What if he didn't have those 40? But let's say he had 10 million viewers, but he didn't have the 40 that counted, that everybody wanted him for, because all these super yacht builders, they hire this guy to promote their super yachts and they gave him all this special access. But let's just say he had 10 million followers, but he didn't have the 40 the 40 followers that could actually afford a super yacht in it. Those 10 million would be absolutely useless to his potential customer. So it does. Or here's the other thing: what if he only had 41 viewers, but 40 out of those 41 were super yacht? They were in the market of buying a super yacht. Well, those 41, a network of 41 or 41 connections, a hell of a lot more important than those 10 million. That doesn't include the folks that can really move the needle for him.
I think psychologically speaking, calling out what is the average? What does the average person do? Because at Create Personal Equity, we are not talking about the average. Our
Yeah, that's true.
process is the outlier. Just to identify to scope out what is average. We joke about it kind of about the cat videos, but there's truth to that. Like that actually, it's a yeah, that's I want to say metaphorical example, but it's not a metaphor because people actually do it. Cat videos are the most popular out there. Or actually, resharing content. What's your thoughts on resharing content? And I would, if we're I'm a visual thinker and I'm picturing the bell curve, the mean I would say is mostly resharing content. People going out there finding a good post and then resharing it and calling it good.
Well,
A good
I
enough.
think if you're a leader in your industry and you're a recognized leader and you're sharing content, then what you're doing is you're going out there and you're curating all the relevant information for your particular market space for your followers. And if you are, I think that's a value add. I really do. If you are
You're
doing
talking
it,
original posts, right? If they
well, I'm talking about resharing also. I'm talking
oh,
about,
gotcha. Okay.
yeah, if you are, if you are a thought leader, for example, government contracting. I kind of a little bit of a known entity in the worlds of
Yes,
government
sir.
contracting
Super
startup.
known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the deal is if I go out there and I see a post that deals with government contracting, and I share that with the people who follow me to learn about government contracting, then what? And I share my insights on that post. I'm thinking like, this post is wrong. It's like, this is not what you want to do when it comes, or you could say like, oh man, this guy really nails it. Or this is something that you should be exploiting in your journey to become a successful, government contracting entrepreneur. So, so resharing content can be very, very, very positive. But the deal is it's not just about clicks. You know what I mean? It's just like, it has to be about sharing information, and it doesn't have to be original content, but if you're sharing information to the people who can benefit from it, that's a very large group of every network. There's first of all, let's talk about your network, because your personal brand has everything to do about your network, because your network is the only people that matter. That's it. Everything that you do regarding your personal brand is for your network, and your network should not include the crazy cat lady from Idaho. It shouldn't, because that's a distraction. In fact, having those kind of people in your network could actually negatively impact you. If you got a whole bunch,
Yes, it
if
will.
people click on you and they see all your followers are crazy cat ladies, and you're going for that CEO job for a billion-dollar company, just by hey, people judge you by the people that you associate with. They really do, wrongly
There's a
or
type of
correctly.
person that posts cat videos.
Yeah. I'm not. You have to be able to differentiate what you do for interests, what you do for fun, and what you're doing. When we're talking about a personal brand, you're really talking about, hey, I'm going to use my personal brand as a tool to achieve my goals. That is completely different than how, like, hey, I just want to be entertained, for 30 minutes. I'm going to watch some cat videos. Nothing wrong with cat videos. I'm not beating people up for watching cat videos. What I'm trying to say though is you've got to differentiate that, from your personal brand. Your personal brand is a tool, is a weapon. It's just like your resume. If you wanted to become a CEO, would you put, that you watch, 50 cat videos a day on it? Would you put that on your resume if you're looking for that C-suite position? Would you put that on your resume? And the answer to that is like, no. Like, nobody would put that on their resume. So it's like you've got to make sure that your network is a professional network that you are developing your personal brand with, because those are the people who are going to help you accomplish, your dreams. Now, if you like sharing cat videos with friends and family, go for it. That's great and wonderful, but that's not a professional network. It really isn't, because your network are the people who can be force multipliers to help you accomplish your goals. Now, what you've got to do is you have to influence how they think about you. So you do that by your personal brand. So I'm going to give you an example. There's three types or three categories of network members. There's advocates, enablers, and then there's mentees. So your advocates, let's just say you want to get that C-suite position. Your advocates would be your advisory board members, your boards of directors, the owners of businesses who who are actually looking for their next CEO. There may be, executive headhunters, at these prestigious search firms. Those are your advocates. They're the ones who can actually give you your goal, by giving you that offer to become the CEO. Then that next group is what I call enablers. They're the ones who help prepare you for that. They're your mentors. They're the people who are sharing information with you. They're the ones who are collaborating with you. And then there's that third group called your mentees. And those are the people that you're pulling along and helping out. So it's very synergistic. And everybody always says, yeah, well, why the mentees? Why are they so important? Well, this is why your resume will not get you a job. You can have the best resume in the world, but if nobody knows you, they're never going to hire you.
Nobody reads
They've got
it.
to know you. Yeah, it's like so. And then here's the other thing too. I'm going to tell you why mentees are so important. Just this one example. You've got one guy, he's got the best resume in the world. Harvard MBA, MIT undergraduate. He had job titles at all the right positions. And then you have another guy who didn't go to Harvard, didn't go to MIT. He has some really strong work experience too, but they weren't quite as branded as his other guys or gals, resume. So you call up that, the Harvard MBA, MIT guy who had all the right things written on it. And within about 15 seconds, you realize that this guy's an asshole. He's just a flaming asshole.
5 seconds.
Wow. It's like, man, what a jerk. How arrogant. Like, well, hey, I'm a Harvard, I'm the smarter than everybody else. And that's why you should give me the job because I'm so damn smart. I deserve this job. Boom. Then you had the other guy and you call this up and say, hey, I want to learn. I want to give back. I want to do this. I want to, now you're going to say, whoa, what a difference. What a difference. One's a self-entitled jerk, and the other one is they believe in what the company does. They want to be part of that. They want to be able to give back to the community through their role in that company. And so it's like, wow, that's the kind of person we want. Now, the stuff that you learn in that interview by getting to know that person is never going to be on the resume. You can't say that. You can't say, hey, you can't have a bullet on your resume that says, I'm the most humble person in the world. Come on, you can't do that. So what mentees do is they allow you to be observed, your intangibles to be observed, which is a hell of a lot more important than anything that's on a resume. These intangibles. So when you're giving back to the community, when you're sharing your knowledge, when you do things like, for example, launch a nonprofit organization where you are sharing, your time and your energy and stuff with a group that's relevant to your network, they're going to see you be a successful leader. They're going to see you have strong character. They're going to see you giving back. They're going to see you mentoring. They're going to see all these intangibles that you can never tell anybody about. You just can't say that. Certain things have got to be seen and not told. And I get back to a Stephen King quote. One of the things that he always says, he wrote a really famous book called On Writing. I think it's called On Writing, where basically I've read part of it. I didn't read it all. I got bored. But, one of the big things he says is you got to show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. You can't say, and Bob was really, 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 really scared. No, you got to talk about the scene, and you got to the readers have got to connect the dot that Bob is like terrified, his hand shaking as he reached towards the doorknob. He's seeing lights flickering underneath, the seal of the door under, something moving in the back. It's like you're giving the scenery, you're giving the atmosphere where you're terrified, and Bob must be, because he's there opening that door. You're not saying that Bob is really, really, really scared opening the door. You never say that. But yet, you're showing them. And that's what you're using with your mentees. You're showing those advocates and your enablers that you're worthy of their consideration, that you've got the intangibles that they're looking for. So you're letting people get to know you either directly or indirectly by your engagement with the mentees. That's why they're so important. So, like there's certain things you just can't say. You can't send out a text message to your advocates and say, hey, I'm really humble. Just wanted you to know that. You know what I mean? They got to see it. And so again, to kind of summarize this thing a little bit, it's like your personal brand is what your network sees of you.
A personal case from that. So I coached boxing, and I started recording. I started putting my classes on YouTube. So then people could see me as a mentor interacting with my mentees. And it was maybe 6 months. Floyd Mayweather's team reached out to us. Wow. We've had multiple celebrities reach out to us, and it's high probability. It's what you just spoke to. People could see
absolutely.
me as a leader interacting.
You could never have sent Floyd first of all, you never would have had access to him, but you never would have been able to send Floyd and say, hey, I'm a great guy. I tried to help out people in boxing. And it's like, so what? Like, yeah,
Who
right.
cares?
But he sees it of you.
Yes, sir.
So now his opinion of you, and he has an opinion of you now. Think about that. He has seen you, because of your mentees, he has an opinion about you, and it's a positive one. The most famous boxer in the world has an opinion about Jonathan. That's pretty amazing. That's a hell of an example, Jonathan. He has an opinion about you because you leveled, you leverage that third type of network, which is your mentees.
Yes,
and
sir.
now he saw you mentoring those people, sharing your knowledge, sharing your information, giving back to the boxing community. And now the most famous boxer in the world knows you, and it's just a matter of time before, at some point, if you wanted to progress in the boxing world, Floyd Weather would be advocating for you. Like, hey, I know Jonathan. Yeah, let's give him an opportunity. That kind of deal.
I'll give him an opportunity.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, seriously, I think that's like the ideal example. I think,
Yes,
it's like if they see that, I really do think that. Well, here's the other thing too about since we're talking about personal brand, your resume will never get you the opportunity. Never, ever, ever get you the opportunity. First of all, there's only a certain type of professional goals that a resume is even relevant for. For example, if you want to launch a small business as an entrepreneur, do you know the most the number one variable in having a successful small business is how well the founders, how well is he respected? Because nobody's ever heard of your small business. Nobody. But if you're a well-branded small business owner, the founder, that's going to rub off on your company. It really is. It's just like when you have these famous people, sell their first company, they launch their second company. Their second company is almost always successful. Why? Because the success of their first company rubs off on the second one because of the personal brand. So so your resume, the resume is not relevant to potential customers. Customers don't give a damn about your resume as a founder of a company. They want to know that the trust that they have in you, that the respect that they have in you, they're just going to automatically assume that your small business has that, that same level of character and attention to detail and so on and so forth. So you're your best marketing for a small business. Same way with people who want to get a book published. Most people don't realize this, but to get a book published, it's less about your book and more about your following. It's more about your network. Mm-hmm. They expect you to sell over 50% of the first printing. Now I want you to think about what I just said. They're going to print out, a ton of books, and they expect your followers to buy half of those. Otherwise, they're not going to sign you up with a book deal. So, you could say, like, hey, I wrote the great American novel. Like, nobody cares because you can't sell at least half of it yourself because you don't have a following. And that is so true. I was working with a literary a person who's a literary agent consultant. He was the one who would help you get the best literary agent. And here's the reality: literary agents won't touch you because they only take on clients that they know who can sell at least 50% of the first printing. So the very first, before they even read your book, they're checking out your following, your network, your personal brand. That's what that's what they're checking out. They're checking out your personal brand before they check out your book. That is how important a personal brand is. Real estate agents, these realtors who are in these local communities, who do you go to? You go to the person you trust the most. How do you even know about this real estate agent? It's not like you've sold 25, bought and sold 25 homes in your community. Chances are you've only sold one, if that, or zero, because this is your first home transaction. You're going to go with the person that you have the highest trust in. Now, how do you have trust in that? How do you have trust in that person? It's the personal brand. And I hate to use this as an example because it's a kind of a negative example for most people. Politicians. You don't know a politician. 99.9999% of the time, you don't know who that individual is. But they have they have an entire campaign who's creating a personal brand around them. Like saying, that's a guy I can trust. Well, you've never even met that guy. You don't know a thing about that guy, but their campaign has created a personal brand around them. Now, that's with slogans and all this kind of stuff. It's like, I hate to use that example, but it's the most powerful. We don't elect.
They've identified it as the most significant thing they could possibly do with their marketing dollars or their campaign dollars.
Absolutely. We don't elect the best president. We elect the presidential candidate who runs the best campaign to project the best personal brand. That's what we do. And, because as Americans, we first of all, it's so complex. It really is. It's like if you can follow day-to-day, policy, you don't have a day job. I'll say it that way. That's a full-time effort. Yeah. So it's not like we don't even have a chance to really get to know what these people stand for by what they do as politicians. All we know is their brand, and that's created by a team. So and I think we'd all agree. I think every single American would agree. We have elected as a country some really rotten human beings for political office because they've had people who are really good at creating personal brands for them that didn't necessarily mesh with the reality. That's how powerful a personal brand is. The most powerful positions, the most powerful people in the world, they leverage, every single thing that they do to create that personal brand. Not their resume, not their voting, whatever. That is, we base the most important decisions that we can as citizens on personal brands.
I'm going to say something here. I'm going to ask that you keep me in check because I'm going to go into the deep end a little bit. It's a cognitive bias. It's a measurement bias. It is easier for humans to pull information from other humans than it is from a piece of paper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We're naturally tuned into other human beings. Right. So, and that's personal branding. You're looking at the person, not the work that they've done. Or not the
absolutely. Well, but first of all, you're never even going to know about what they've done, and I'm a living, breathing example of that. In 2020, I had just sold my third company in 3.5 years. From between 2016 2020, I had sold 3 federal government contracting companies, all for millions. You know what I mean? Like I had a resume. I had companies on the Inc. 500 fastest growing companies list, the Washington Tech Fast 50 list. Hell, my nonprofit organization was awarded the President George H.W. Bush Points to Light Award. I was elected to all these different prestigious CEO consortiums, and what kind of opportunities I got in 2020 once I cleared all my non-competes? None. And the reason why is because nobody knew my resume. And again, I won't say that I had the best resume going, but I had a very competitive resume. I had a very competitive resume that should have lent itself for me having opportunities, coming to me, passively. And I didn't have any. And the reason why is because nobody knew my resume. Nobody. And that was by design because this is how stupid I was. I thought like, since my companies do, intelligence work, I should not be on the internet. It's like, really? Sharing information, I'm talking about like corporate information, sharing government contracting information. Had I done that, had I been more willing to share what I knew to help other people and put myself out there a little bit to do that, I would have been observed. My subject matter expertise would have been observed and my character would have been observed and people would have got to know me and would have known my accomplishments. But I never did that. And so it's not that I didn't try to mentor people, but I did it behind closed doors. I did it at restaurants, like or over a beer or something like that. We talked. I didn't do it in an open forum where it could have been shared by a lot of people. So, and because of that, I didn't have any opportunities because nobody knew about my resume. Nobody knew about my accomplishments. So you can sit there and you can be the most credentialed, accomplished person in the world, but nobody's going to know who you are. Nobody. And and it does you no good. That resume, hell, you might as well not done anything on it because it's not going to actually help you.
In my experience, those that spend their lives in IT, and I'm going to speak to a personality type, the conscientious type. Uh, People in IT, people in networking, their personality skews towards conscientious type, which I visualize like Spock from Star
Yeah.
Trek,
Yeah.
right? Those people tend not to, or that personality type tends not to post a lot of personal stuff on social media. And I'm making blanket statements here, but that's basically in my mind, in my experience, that's the people in the IT field, which is a giant field to be in. At high probability, it speaks to some of the cuts that are going on in government contracting right now.
Yeah.
The conscientious type is they're more likely to post factual. They're more likely to give out their resume and call it good. Nothing else. Like
I know that for a fact because I know people who have got some of the most impressive resumes for their age, and the opportunities aren't coming. And the reason why is because they don't put themselves out there. Now,
it's
what you said
scary.
was what I now I want to highlight something that you said about putting themselves out there. In a way, you're not putting yourself out there. Keep your personal stuff personal. And in fact, I encourage you to do that. Nobody wants to care about little Timmy and his diaper rash. That you're posting. It's like too much information. So and I would keep it 100% professional. What you know about professionally, share that because it benefits other people, professionally. And if you've got a personal situation, and you want to help people, on a personal side, separate those two things. Use different mediums, different everything, because you don't want to blend the two. In my opinion, I don't think that's a good thing to do. Besides, your personal information really doesn't have much to do with your professional goals. Like I said, I would keep those two together because, there's a lot of stuff out me on the internet, but there's very little that I'm posting about my kids. There's very little I'm posting about my family life. It's like nobody needs to know that. So you don't have to go out there and be one of these. Oh, I'm the best, or I'm the this. It turns people off. In fact, and this has been my experience. People who share too much personal information, it turns people off because not everybody's going to agree with what you're saying. So it's like you're going to, if like raising kids, like perfect example. If you start talking about how you raise your kids, whether or not you do timeout or you spank them or you negotiate with them or whatever the latest trends are with how do you discipline children, you're gonna set off half the people out there. Same way with if you start talking about politics and your political views, no matter what you say, there's going to be at least 50% of the people who are going to disagree with you violently. And so stay away from those topics. Give positive professional information, because you can really do some damage with your personal brand. You really can, because I love a quote by Michael Jordan. And somebody asked him why he didn't get more politically involved, and it was specifically about something that the Republicans were doing that, that the interviewer didn't like. And they say, hey, why aren't you standing up against what the Republicans are doing? He said, because the Republicans buy tennis shoes too. It's like, wow. And if you feel so strongly about a cause or something like that you're willing to sacrifice your professional career over, go for it. That's your calling. It's not a penny that professional goal. So you just do whatever you want to do, towards that advocacy, because that is your goal. But that's going to hurt your professional life more than likely.
We're in our last minute here, but I think you just touched on a great segue for an awesome ending. And this episode themes on what is personal branding, and you just spoke to the goal. I associate a personal branding. It's a posting with intent, and that intent is measured back from the goal.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, yeah. So personal branding is your intent to positively influence the network of people who can either advocate for you, enable your success, or give you the opportunity to highlight your character and other intangibles by being good mentees. That's what I would consider to be your personal brand. It's the projection of information to positively influence those three types of network members. And because those three types of network members are the people who are going to be force multipliers in helping you accomplish your professional goals. Now, here's the other thing too. You can create a network for any type of goal. So each goal that you have, you're going to have your own specific network for it. That's everybody thinks is, oh, I got one network. I just boom, blast out. No, that's not the case. You have a network for every single type of goal that you want to accomplish. So what you have to do is you got to separate them sometimes, because what would influence positively this network could negatively impact this network. So you got to kind of keep them separated. But what you do is you identify your goals, you identify the network of people who can help you achieve that goal, and then what you do is you create a personal branding strategy to positively influence those people to be force multipliers on your behalf. It really is simple, but if you don't do it right, you're going to do more harm than good.
And that's a segue. Create personal equity. That's what Randall and I do. That's strategy.
Yeah, there's a softball pitch.
Well, it's it's logical.
Yeah. Well, I will say that though, that there is a process to do that, and that's kind of what we do. And I'll even say this, not since we're going to plug Create Personal, Equity. When we launched this company, what we did is we researched all the other people, all the other companies that allegedly did the same thing that we were trying to get into the market of doing, and that's creating a personal brand. And they were all about getting clicks. It was all about writing and engaging content and what would engage the largest number of people. And that is not what we do. Getting back to that example where you have a super yacht blogger, an influencer, he only cared about the 40 people that could actually afford a super yacht. That all the other million, they great and wonderful, wasn't hurting anything that they were interested in his content, but he was focused on the 40 that people were paying him. These super yacht manufacturers were paying this guy to do what he was doing just for those 40. So everything that he was doing was targeted towards 40 human beings, not the millions that were following him, the 40 that could actually help him, accomplish his goals or his clients' goals. And I think that's the mindset you have to have. You're not sending out cat videos to get 10 million followers. You're sending out content for those 3,000 people who are potentially hiring for a CEO position, if that's what you want. Or, you're putting content out there, for the people who can get you a book deal, or people who are either going to be in the home market where they're buying or selling in your local community. Those are the people that you need to be targeting your content towards. It's not just blindly pushing out content. You got to push out content that's going to influence those people that help progress you towards your professional goals.
Oh my gosh, that was perfect. If anybody in this audience, if our audience has any questions, reach out to us. Anything, if we've sparked a fire of interest, reach out.
Yeah, I tell you what, having a personal brand is the fastest way to accomplish your goal. It's not going out and getting an MBA. It's not going out and it's whatever your goal is. If you actually put down that goal and reverse engineer what kind of personal brand that you have, and you create that personal brand, it will get you that goal 10 times faster than any other thing that you do. Any other thing. Adding something to your resume that nobody's ever going to see doesn't do you any good. Doesn't do you a bit of good. You have to have a personal brand. You have to have a network. Again, I'd like to wrap up with this phrase right here. Your network is your net worth. So you got to have a great network that aligns with your goals.
That was a perfect way to end it. Awesome conversation. For the audience, join us next week, Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. We look forward to speaking with you. Thank you.
Yeah.